Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Open Mic here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys joining me here now. Every morning on the John Campea Show, that's our main movie show. We save a little bit of time to take some live questions. But here on Open Mic, that's all we do. All live questions, all the way through the entire show. And I'm really glad that you guys are here joining me for this little excursion. And we've got a whole bunch of live questions already lined up. So let's dive right into it. And the first question today comes to us from James Welsh, who writes, Miles Teller cast as Goose's son. Thoughts? Interesting. This is a news that broke today. For some of you who haven't heard, obviously there's a Top Gun sequel coming. They've already started shooting it. Obviously, Goose can't be in it because this isn't an MCU movie where they just unkill everybody. But you are apparently getting Goose's son. So I'm guessing Meg Ryan was pregnant at the end of Top Gun. And maybe they said that in the movie. I don't remember. But at any rate. And she has a little boy, Goose. So we've got Miles Teller playing Goose. And now, I do want to save my full thoughts on this until the John Campea Show tomorrow. But I will say this. I think Miles Teller is a very good actor. He hasn't always been in the best movies, but he's a very, very good actor. And J.K. Simmons said he's like one of the best actors he's ever worked with. And that says something. So I think he's great. The notion of them having a son. Now, here's the thing. If they're making Goose's son a fighter pilot as well, it's going to have a really strong Creed vibe to it, right? Like, my best friend died, but his son's here. Now his son's doing the exact same thing my best friend did. And I'm going to train him how to, like, it'll have a heavy Creed feel. But again, we'll talk more about that on the show tomorrow. But just for those of you who don't know, yep, it looks like Miles Teller has been cast to play Goose's son in the Top Gun sequel. All right, next up. Daniel Fitzpatrick writes, pardon me, just wanted to say thanks for all the shows. Means a lot. Oh, thank you so much, Daniel. I really appreciate that. It's my honor, and thank you for being here and watching them. All right, Ben Kenobi writes, thoughts about Not Another Teen Movie. In my opinion, it's the last good spoof. I really like the movie. I love seeing Chris Evans in a purely comedic role. I'll be honest with you, Ben, I hated it. Absolutely hated it. I thought it was awful. But there are, I have other people I know who really like, you're not alone, Ben. There are a number of people who really like that movie. I wish I did, but I did not. I don't think there's been a half-decent spoof movie, and gosh, I think Spaceballs, I mean, I'm trying to remember the order in which they came out. Hot Shots Part 2, that might have been the last one. I'm trying to remember the order in which they came out. But yeah, I haven't seen a good spoof movie in for frickin' ever. And unfortunately for me, Not Another Teen Movie is yet another one of those garbage spoof movies in the modern era. But again, you are not alone. I don't want to pretend like everybody knows that movie sucks. Not at all. I know a number of people who really like it. And you included, Ben, obviously. But yeah, I'm one of those guys that it just didn't work for me. Just like all the other modern spoof movies just don't work for me. But anyway, that's just me. Murray Reich writes, I was thinking a suggestion for the A-list, the AMC movie subscription program, that if you decide to plan on going to any of the films that week with a friend, there should be an option to add an extra ticket, but it will cost a few more dollars. Well, they do that. Except you have to actually buy the ticket. So like, for instance, let's say my buddy Soul doesn't have an AMC A-list. Okay, Soul and I decide we're going to go see Incredibles 2 tomorrow night. Fine. I can jump on my AMC A-list pass app, and I can select a movie, but instead of just one ticket for me, I can put in 2 tickets. And it'll only charge me for Soul's ticket. So I get a free one. My ticket's free, and then it charges me for Soul's ticket. So there, I was able to order 2 tickets. We book our seats together. We got our showtime. I was able to order them, and it just charged me extra for my buddy's seat. So now what they cannot do is start giving you now discounts, give you a free one, and your friend gets a discount. That's called having an unsustainable business practice. They'll go out of business. But the fact that they built in that convenience, and that's something that MoviePass and even Cinemia never had before. That convenience that, hey, I want to book my ticket. Well, number one, you could never book your tickets online in advance with MoviePass. That was a big drawback. But like, I want to get a ticket, and I'm willing to pay extra so I can bring my friend. I just want to buy 2 tickets at once. AMC A-list does let you do that. So that's already a part of the plan that you get. Let's see. Akeem writes, saw Hereditary. Every time I thought I had a scene or player or the plot figured out, I ended up being so wrong. What a movie. It's a really good movie. I was late to the Hereditary party. I didn't like it as much as a lot of people did, because a lot of people are putting it in like their top 5 films of the year, which is great. I think it's a very good movie. It's a big thumbs up from me. It's on the is it a good or bad movie list from John Campea. It's a good movie. It's a very good movie. I loved it. The car scene. Anyway, but I'm not a top 5 films of the year thing. Maybe in top 10 right now, for sure. But it is a movie that keeps you guessing. It bends the rules as it goes. And it's just some very creative filmmaking. Like, to me, it's just some very creative filmmaking. And shows you that you don't need a $100 million movie budget to make a great movie. So there's that. I'm glad you liked it, Akeem. All right, next up. The Guitar Dude 513 writes, Best Supporting Actor nominee for me would go to Oscar Isaac for Annihilation. He was pretty good in that. A Quiet Place will dominate the Filthy Awards, however. Yeah, so for those of you who didn't see earlier, we're having a little mid-year awards, because it's now the midway point of the year. We talked about this on the John Campea Show earlier. So we're having our mid-year. We had 8 categories: Best Actor, Actress, Supporting Actor, Supporting Actress, Best Comedy, Best Superhero Movie, Best Director, and Best Movie. And yeah, Quiet Place kind of Quiet Place, and I think, I could be wrong, but I think Quiet Place and Black Panther had the most nominations for the Filthies. And the voting is going on right now. You guys are voting on it as we speak. So, who did I have? Hold on, let me just bring up my list here, just so I have it in front of me. The 5 nominees that I had, I'll actually bring it right over to the screen here. For Best Supporting Actor were, where'd it go? Here we go. Okay. My nominees for Best Supporting Actor were Michael B. Jordan, which I would not put Oscar Isaac above him. Noah Jupe for A Quiet Place, I would not put Oscar Isaac above him. Joel Edgerton, I did not like Red Sparrow, but I thought he was stunning in it. And to me, it's really, really impressive when you're in a movie that isn't all that good, and yet your performance is excellent. That says something. So that's why I got Joel Edgerton in there. Robert Downey Jr. for Avengers Infinity War. I think it might be Robert Downey Jr.'s best performance so far as Iron Man, as Tony Stark. I think it might be his best. Now, he's not the lead guy, and he's not in it as much as he is in some of his own films or whatever, but the performance he gave to the character I thought was terrific. And then, of course, we had Jesse Plemons from Game Night. Again, it's a small role, not one of the best films of the year, but he was so good in it. Maybe you could make an argument for replacing him with Oscar Isaac, but I feel pretty comfortable with the people that we nominated. So I'm sticking with that. And Oscar, I'll be honest with you, Oscar Isaac's not a name that really jumped out at me. Like, I did nominate Natalie Portman. Natalie Portman is nominated, even though I didn't like Annihilation all that much. Natalie Portman is nominated for Best Actress. But I gotta, even when I'm thinking about Oscar Isaac, I don't think I could justify putting him up there. But hey, it was good enough for you, and it worked for you, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who agree with you. It just didn't happen. That's the subjectivity of film. It just didn't happen to be on my list. All right. Guitar Dude 513 follows up with, no AMC near me. That's too bad. Waiting on Regal and Cinemark to wow me with their subscription plan. Cinemark's current one isn't terrible, but I want what AMC has. Yeah, listen, the Cinemark Movie Club thing is a nice deal. Like, is it as good as the AMC A-list one? No, but it's a nice deal. If you're somebody who goes to the movies regularly, that Cinemark card is great, because not only, because if you live where I live, right, the average movie cost here in Los Angeles, where I go to the movies, is like $15 a ticket. That's not Prime or IMAX. Then you're getting into $20 a ticket. The average movie cost is $15 ticket, right? When you join the Cinemark Club for like $9 a month, you get 1 ticket for free. You get to buy a guest ticket for $8.99, for $9. And you can go to a future movie later that month and only pay $9 and get a friend to go for $9. So instead of paying $15 per ticket, you get 1 free one Plus, you're paying $9 a ticket. I'm saving, if I had a Cinemark near me, and if I was going to, you're saving $6 worth every ticket. That's a crazy good deal. And on top of that, they offer concession stand discounts as well. All that kind of good stuff. So, yeah, it's a good deal. Now, is it as good as AMC? No, but I would really recommend looking into that Cinemark Club because I think it's a damn nice little deal. It's a really good deal. If you are a regular film goer, it'll save you a bunch of money. So I would recommend you check that out for sure. And it probably won't be long before Regal gets its movie club thing going. Okay, next up is Patrick Conway, who writes, surprised you didn't nominate Chris Hemsworth and Zoe Saldana for Infinity War. Nah. And Ron Howard. Now, I think Ron Howard did a really nice job. Let me just bring up, where's my best director list? There it is. I think Ron Howard did a very nice job with Solo, especially considering all the drama surrounding it. But I feel very, very comfortable with our nom. I wouldn't bump any of these off for Ron Howard for Solo. John Krasinski for A Quiet Place, Anthony and Joe Russo for Avengers Infinity War, Ryan Coogler for Black Panther, Lynn Ramsey for You Were Never Really Here, and Brad Bird for Incredibles 2. I would not bump any of them off for Ron Howard. Ron Howard did a very good job. I'm a huge Ron Howard fan. And what he did, stepping into all that chaos and pulling a really fun, entertaining movie out of it was great. But I am not going to lose any sleep not bumping any of those people off the list to put in Ron Howard. He did very good. There were a number of directors who did a really good job this year, but not quite top 5. You know what I mean? So, and as Chris Hemsworth, very good. Zoe Saldana did very well. But again, I wouldn't bump any of the people I have on my list off for those people. Not at all. All right. Let's keep going here. Let's see. Murray Reich writes, I don't know about you, but I'm dying to see another Happy Times Murder trailer as I laughed so much from the first one. That Happy Times Murder trailer, I'm finding it is so, and it's designed to be so divisive. And you can clearly tell it's designed to be divisive. This is a movie that is clearly not going to be for everyone. And they don't need everyone to go see it. If they can get 1 out of every 10 of us to go see it, it'll make huge money. And I find either everybody is either absolutely loves that Happy Time Murder trailer or they absolutely hate it. I happen to fall into the camp of absolutely love it. I was laughing myself sick. I was just laughing myself sick. And I know a lot of people who completely hated it. Like they were offended by it. They hated it. And that's fine. That's the movies. That's fine. But I'll be honest with you. I don't need to see another trailer. I don't. I just want to see the movie now. I'm sold. I am completely sold on the movie. I don't want to see any more of the laughs because all the laughs I've seen in the trailer are now not going to have as big of an impact on me when I see the movie because I already know the joke. I'll still probably laugh at it again because I've seen the trailer 20 times and I still laugh. But I want to keep as many of the jokes hidden. I understand they need to put out more trailers. I just hope they don't, show off too many of the gags. Because I wanted to watch the movie and still have a lot of gags left for the movie, you know what I'm saying? So I am personally totally happy not to watch another Happy Time Murders trailer. I'm just ready for the movie, man. All right, let's move on here. Where are we at? We're at Stefan Gonzalez, who writes, just finished God of War, and oh my God, what an incredible story. The ending got me emotional. I don't think for games I've ever seen such an epic score or heard such an epic score. Yeah, look, I did a review for God of War. It's on my YouTube channel. You can do a search for it. I was floored by it. It is one of the top 2 or 3 best stories ever in a video game. I mean, just ever. The way it's told, its character development, its story progression. The 4th Uncharted game and Last of Us are probably the 3 best examples of storytelling in a video game, like ever. And God of War, I mean, it was shot very cinematically. The whole thing is done with 1 camera shot, which is amazing. But that also really does enhance the feel of a cinematic story flavor. And the ending is great. You're right. It's an absolutely fantastic ending. I loved it. So I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. I'm glad you got through it. All right. Curtis Lopez writes, would Mr. Rogers get through Killmonger? Oh, I'm telling you, I said earlier today on the show, and I stand by this and I believe it still. If Mr. Rogers, the biggest badass in the history of American culture, go watch my review of Won't You Be My Neighbor to understand what I'm saying. If Mr. Rogers had been there when Thanos came to Earth, no problem. Mr. Rogers would have had that shit under control in 2 minutes. He would have had Thanos on his knees, crying like a baby and giving him a hug, and he would have been taking his gauntlet off and all. Mr. Rogers would have totally done that. Mr. Rogers could have straightened out Killmonger just like that. No pun intended with the snap. Mr. Rogers could have straightened out Killmonger easy. Give Mr. Rogers, give me 90 seconds. Give Mr. Rogers 90 seconds with Killmonger. He would have had Killmonger totally weeping on the floor. I absolutely guarantee it. Nothing. Not Dominic Toretto, not Thanos, not Killmonger. Nothing can stand before Mr. Rogers. I am more convinced of that now, more than ever in my life. And you got to see that documentary, man. Go see Won't You Be My Neighbor. Donaldo Martinez writes, it's my birthday, 39 years, getting old. Happy birthday, Donaldo, and many happy more going to you. I hope you have a fantastic birthday, man. All right, next one. Darth Impact writes, I was a naysayer when Gal Gadot was picked to play Wonder Woman, but after loving her in Batman vs. Superman and Wonder Woman, and she was great in Justice League, if she nails it in Wonder Woman 1984, can you put her in the Born to play the cat? No, she's not very good. And it just goes to show, like, she's never been good in anything else either. Like, watch Keeping Up with the Joneses. She's dreadful in that. She's just dreadful. Now, granted, it was a bad movie. And even John Hamm, who's very good, didn't come off looking all that good in it. So let's be fair. I will say this, and I said this in my review of Wonder Woman. I think Gal Gadot did much better than I expected. I'd say she was passable. And that's way better than I was expecting. Any strength in that movie is from the writing and the directing. The performance, where I come from, we call that slavery. Ba, 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 ba. I mean, her performance was whatever. Chris Pine, fortunately, was there to do most of the heavy lifting, but having to give credit where it's due, I thought Gadot did much better than I feared. Like, I thought she would be so bad that it would become distracting to the film, and she wasn't. She has improved. She has improved. Given her enough years, she's gotten a little bit better. And to the point where when I saw Wonder Woman, I was like, you know what? She was passable. And then she let the strength of the directing and the strength of the acting of Chris Pine and all that kind of stuff do all the heavy lifting and carry most of the weight. But my fear was she was going to be so dreadfully horrible, she would distract from the film. And she didn't. She didn't at all. You know, and I got to give credit where it's due. But was she really good in it? Nah. Nah. I mean, look, it's all subjective. It's all opinion, including mine. It's just my opinion. But from my point of view, no. Oh my God, no. And there's a reason there's still, like, despite the fact that she's in these big comic book properties and Wonder Woman's a big hit, a lot of directors and casting people are still hesitant to put her in significant roles. She's not getting significant roles because people don't want her. I've heard rumors she's going to be in a movie with The Rock. That's great because you don't need to be a good actor to be in a movie with The Rock. But, and hey, look, I say this all the time, and I will say it again. I used to believe 100% that the worst actor in Hollywood getting work on a regular basis was Channing Tatum. I thought that for a long time. But guess what happened? Years and years and years passed, and he kept working and working and working and working and training and training and training and training and taking lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson and just basically worked his ass off. To the point that he got better and better and better. And today, I actually really look forward to seeing Channing Tatum in movies. I used to say publicly all the time on my shows, he is the worst actor in Hollywood getting work. But he got better and better, and he worked and worked and worked. And today, I actually really look forward to seeing movies with him in it now. It's not just I think it's okay. Like, I hear Channing Tatum's in a movie, like, I want to see it then. I'm interested in seeing it now because, hey, that's what happened. Nothing says the same thing can't happen with Gal Gadot. There's nothing that says 5 years from now we might not be having the exact same conversation about Gal Gadot. 5 years from now, it's like, you know what? She never should have been given Wonder Woman. They should have gone to a real actress. All this kind of stuff, but she has worked and worked and worked and worked and trained and trained. I mean, hopefully we get to say this, and trained and trained and trained and trained, and she's gotten better and better and better. And maybe 5 years from now, I'll be going, now when there's a movie with Gal Gadot in it, I'm like, gotta see it. Nothing says the same thing can't happen to her that happened with Channing Tatum. And we'll just have to wait and see. And I think she has shown improvement. I do. I would still not cast her in a lead in anything, but I think she has shown improvement. Does she keep improving? If she keeps improving for the next couple of years, she goes from being passable because she's so hot and beautiful and gorgeous. She's like, it just begs to have her on the screen because she is so, like, she's one of the most physically perfect creatures on the planet Earth. There's no denying that. But a few years from now, if she keeps up a trajectory of improving, she could go from that to being somebody that you would legitimately want to consider putting in your film. We could get there. Is she there now? No, not at all. And you're seeing that by the fact that nobody else has wanted to put her in anything significant. Because people in Hollywood recognize, like, they may say some things publicly, but the reality is nobody's wanting to cast her or put her in some insignificant real roles. But that could change. If she keeps getting better, and this is coming from me, she is getting better. If she keeps getting better, sky's the limit. When you come to the table with the physical tools that she has, right? The physical attributes, she is just one of the most stunningly beautiful people on the planet. The screen begs for her to be on it. If you can add hard work and talent to that, and you develop her talent and stuff like that, she could be a powerhouse in this business. Absolute powerhouse. So, you know, we'll have to just wait and see. Let's see. Where did we go? Oh, sorry, we just had a big jump. Here we go. Zombitron 5678 writes, if the Fox deal goes to Disney, will Magneto be Wanda's father like in the comics, or will they just have them as separate characters from each other? Oh, no idea. No idea. I mean, remember, her parents are dead. Remember, her and Quicksilver in the MCU, they saw their family die. So their family's dead. So they would, look, if they bring the X-Men into the MCU, they have to do a hell of a lot of retconning. Like a hell of a lot of retconning. So no, I remember, Wanda's not a mutant. She got her power from the staff, right? From all the testing that, what was the name of the scientist? Von Strucker? Yeah, Strucker. That von Strucker was doing. They're byproducts of the experiments of von Strucker. So, yeah, no, they wouldn't make Magneto. But how they'll handle the entire MCU thing, that's yet another reason why I don't want the X-Men to come to the MCU. That's just me, though. Murray Reich writes, if used to play... Oh, it used to be that by my two local Regal Theater, that only RPX and IMAX had pre-assigned seating, but now all rooms have finally become pre-assigned. Oh, yeah, it's all finally. It's long overdue. I mean, for a long time, too, even at the big theater up the road from me, the AMC Burbank 16, it used to be that only the IMAX theater and then the Prime had pre-assigned seating. All the other theaters in there were just first come, first serve. Like, hope when you walk in, there's a decent seat available. But that changed too. Now, every seat in every theater in the AMC Burbank 16 is all pre-assigned seating. And I'm finding more and more, almost every theater in my area is similar. And just one of the ways, I love the Cineplex theaters in Canada. They used to be ahead of the curve. Now they're falling way behind. Cineplex, pick it up. Because I went back home for Christmas and like, we went into one theater to watch a movie, and it's like it was pre-assigned seating, of course, but it was one of their premium theaters. But then I went back to go to another movie, and it was like, wait, it's first come, first serve seating? What the hell kind of backward Neanderthal place is this? Like, come on, Cineplex, pick it up. It's the simplest thing in the world. to make all your stuff pre-assigned seating so your theater attendees can have a better experience. Pick it up, for heaven's sakes. Anyway, but yes, Murray, the day is finally here where pretty soon, probably within the next 2 years or so, every theater everywhere will have pre-assigned seating. Thank God. All right. Let's see. Murray Reich follows it up with, I never understood why some people go to see a movie just to use their phones. Cell phone bills and movie tickets ain't cheap. Yeah, look, I have this argument all the time. I remember a few years ago, a couple of the big movie theater chains discussed the possibility of implementing cell phone blockers, cell phone jammers in their theaters. And while the preteens went, no, we can't go 5 minutes without my phone. Like, most adults were like, yeah, oh my God, please institute that. Please institute that. Because unless your name has the letters D, R, and a period in front of it, like unless you're a doctor, or, you know, the first thing on your name was Mr. President or Mr. Prime Minister, you can go 2 hours without being reachable. You can. You can go 2 hours without being reachable. It's okay. Whoever's trying to get a hold of you, oh my God, did you see what Billy said? That'll wait. It'll be waiting for you on your phone when you leave the theater. And you get away from the jammer, you just turn your phone back on and look, oh, the messages are there. They're still there. And then I hear, well, what happens if there's some kind of big emergency? Well, what did the human race do for the 100 years before we had cell phones going to the movie theaters? You can wait. If there's a real emergency, you call the theater, say, hey, I got so-and-so. Like if you go out with a babysitter, it's simple. I've actually got my friend who was telling me they do this now up in Canada because they get their theater seats and their theater by them does have pre-assigned seating and they have to get a babysitter once in a while. And they just let the babysitter know, hey, here's the phone number of the theater we're going to be at. If there's an emergency, just tell the management we're seeing this movie. Because, you know, you have your pre-assigned seat. You've got your ticket number and everything. You got your seat number. Tell them, here's the number to the theater in case there's a real emergency. This is what we always used to have to do. Call the movie theater. Tell the manager you're looking for Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so. They're going to be in Theater 7 seats A5 and A6. There. Problem solved. I hate phones in theaters. Hate them. Hate them. Pisses me off. Now, when somebody's phone accidentally starts to ring because they accidentally forgot to put on silent, I don't get mad at that because it's like, oops, that happens. You forgot. No big deal. Like, that's fine. But like, nothing irritates me more than I'm sitting in a theater and all of a sudden you see this glow in front of you because some idiot says, oh, I wonder if anybody's texted me in the last 15 seconds. And it's like, oh, I want to take a hammer to that guy's phone. It pissed me off. Put your freaking phone away. You know what? I was talking earlier today about Alamo Drafthouse. And one of the things that I love about Alamo Drafthouse, they've got a zero tolerance policy when it comes to phones. You get seen pulling your phone out of your pocket, you're out. They'll throw you out. I love that. I love that. I think every movie theater should have that policy. You pull your phone out, you're out. You're gone. If something desperate is going on, like let's say you've got your phone on vibrate and you can feel that somebody's tried to call you like 3 times in the last 2 minutes. Hey, maybe it's important. Okay, get up and walk out of the theater. I've done that before, right? It feels like somebody's been blowing up my phone in the last 5 minutes. Like maybe it's important. I get up, I leave the theater. Just walk out, like use that as an opportunity to take a bathroom break, whatever. And then I check my phone outside. So I remember when they were talking about the notion, this was years ago, talking about the notion of like putting in a cell phone blocker in the theater. Like there was a lot of people who whined and complained about it, but I'm like, hell yes, please do that. Please do that. Yeah, but they chickened out and they didn't do it, which is too bad. I wish they had. Because I'm sorry, if you can't go without this thing for 2 hours, you've got a problem. You've got a real problem. Anyway, let's see. Moving on. Orange Grove 55 writes, Kylo/Rey Force bond growing in episode 9. Love forms? No, I don't think so. I think they've very, very have clearly established that Kylo is unredeemable. They even had his mother say, I know my son is gone. I know there's no saving him. They even had his mother say that, right? So they left it with no uncertain terms. There is no redemption for Kylo Ren. He's not coming back to the good side, blah, blah, blah. And remember, the person who established that Force bond and made it happen was Snoke. Snoke's not there anymore, so that's not really a possibility. So I just don't see how they could or would do that. Let's see here. JCL Productions writes, Hey, John, did you see Luke Cage Season 2 yet? Yes, I did. I didn't see an official review video of it yet, so I didn't know if you had already talked about it. I didn't do a review of it because I thought it sucked. And I just didn't want to talk about it. I thought it was terrible. I thought the acting was bad. I thought it was dreadfully paced. Just dreadfully paced. Not interesting. Bushmaster was... when they first introduced him, I'm like, okay, this could be cool. But then a lot of the things they did with him just didn't make any sense. And honestly, to me, the Netflix MCU universe is now officially, I categorize it as hit and miss. I no longer get super excited about a new Netflix show, at least with the MCU stuff. Because after, I mean, granted, some people really love Jessica Jones. That's fine. Jessica Jones Season 1, Season 2 did not work for me. Luke Cage Part 1 of Season 1 was awesome. Part 2 of Season 1 was not so good. Like after Cottonmouth left the show, the rest of the show became pretty shaky. I think most people agree about that. And then the worst of them all, Iron Fist. That was just, oh God, that was terrible. That was the worst of it. Luke Cage Season 2, not as bad as Iron Fist, but pretty bad. Pretty bad. So yeah, I decided not to do a review of it because I just didn't want to bother with it. It wasn't worth it to me. Now, I've had some other people on Twitter saying, John, because I've tweeted it. I tweeted out that I said I really did not like Luke Cage Season 2. A bunch of people wrote to me saying they did like it. That's awesome. That's the subjectivity of it all. I'm super happy that there are those of you out there who watched it and got enjoyment out of it. That's great. I celebrate that. But it didn't work for me. So that's just my feeling on that. Let's see. Dark Horizon 211 writes, Hey, John, are you still doing the top 5 or top 10 movies to see every month? Yes, and the last 2 months, as we were getting close to June, I'm like, oh, I got to do my top 5 movies to see in June. And by the time I remembered, it was already June 7th and it was too late. And then I remember last week thinking, oh, I got to do my top 5 movies to see in July. And then I thought about it yesterday, it's already July. So I missed it. It will be back for August. I will put it up on like July, at the end of July, I will put up my top 5 movies to watch for in August. And then September, October, November, so I meant to be back on it a couple of months ago and I just kept forgetting. So I actually put it on my calendar so I wouldn't forget. Like I put a reminder on my calendar 3 days before the end of the month to make that video. So yes, that video will be coming back. Thank you for pointing it out, Dark Horizon. All right. John Early writes, are all 10 seasons of Smallville worth watching? No. Much like most shows. I mean, most shows you'll find not every season is worth watching. I think there were some weak seasons of Smallville. It's been a long time since I watched it. Is Smallville a show worth watching? Yes. Absolutely. Are there seasons that you would live if you skipped out on? Yeah. I think even the most diehard of Smallville fans will probably tell you there are a couple of seasons there that, yeah, you'd be fine if you skipped out on them. You'd be fine. So I think that's the case. Daniel Quintana writes, in honor of the Filthies, do you think a streaming service with all the Oscar-nominated films, major categories only, could work? How much for it? Nah, it wouldn't work. You would never be able to get the rights to those movies. You'd never get the rights to the movies. So, and then any of the other movies you can find anyplace else. So, unfortunately, no, it wouldn't work. And you'd have to charge such an unbelievable... The amount they would have to pay the individual rights holders is so astronomical. Plus, it would be breaking other agreements. So, no, there's just no practical way to do it. There's just no real practical way to do it, unfortunately, that I can think of. I mean, would I love it to just be able to turn on a particular streaming channel and watch all the major Oscar winner films? yeah, that would be great. But there's just practically, there's no real way to pull that off, unfortunately. Darth Impact writes, John, just lost my mother Friday. Watching you helps. Love you, man. By the way, how's your mom? Oh, man, I'm so horribly sorry to hear that. I'm not even going to pretend to be able to relate. And any, like, I just had a scare with my mom. Like, my mom going in for surgery, and that was the scariest thing ever in my life. Man, just, I don't know what to say. That's horrible. And nothing else I can say would be anything but trite, except that deepest condolences, man. That's all I have to offer. So sorry. My mom is doing well. Thank you for asking. My mom is doing well. Working out how to get back to go see her now. Probably shortly after Comic-Con is done, I'm going to get up there. But I really appreciate in the midst of going what you're going through that you would ask. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. My mom's doing well. And again, deepest condolences to you, man, and your family. And thank you for sharing. That's really cool of you to share. Andrew Oldham writes, John, I did see Ocean's 8 and Hathaway was entertaining, but Shapiro was more memorable. I disagree. That's why I advocated bumping Hathaway in favor of Shapiro. Now, Hathaway's probably getting my vote to win the category. Shapiro was very good, but I just don't see her getting on the list. I just don't see it. She was good. Hathaway owned that movie. Hathaway, like, in a movie with Academy, like other, I mean, she's an Academy Award winner herself, but in a movie with other Academy Award winners, legendary actresses, all that kind of stuff, she stole the movie. That's like being in a basketball game with LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and, you know, Elijah Wan, Abdul-Jabbar, blah, blah, and you come in, some dude named Billy, and you win the MVP of the game. That's what Anne Hathaway did in Ocean's 8. Because she's in there in a movie with Helena Bonham Carter, Academy Award winners, and Cate Blanchett, and, oh, why am I forgetting Speed Girl's name? Anyway, Sandra Bullock, and whatever. And she went in there and just stole the movie. She stole it. And every moment that she was on screen was amongst the best moments of the film. You cannot underestimate that. Now, for you, the Shapiro thing was more effective, and that's great. I respect that, but I disagree. I just think Hathaway head and shoulders, despite the fact that it was a comedy, but the performance she gave was just, I don't know many people that could have pulled off what she did, to be honest with you. What she did in that movie was so subtle, but so strong at the same time. I don't know, man. I'm not going to be surprised if she doesn't get nominated at the Academy Awards. I mean, we still got a lot of movies to come out this year, but I'm not going to be surprised if she ends up getting an Academy Award nomination for that. Because I actually thought she was better than the movie was, you know? I wouldn't say that about Shapiro, but I would say that about Hathaway. But again, that's just why I have her on my nominee list and why I don't have Shapiro. Your list would clearly look different. That's totally cool. Your opinion is no less, no more valid than mine, man. So thanks for sharing that. All right. History Soup writes, animated series could bring back entire TGN crew? Maybe, but who cares? I mean, look, if I'm seeing an animated Geordie LaForge, as long as you get somebody who sounds like Geordie, it really won't make much difference to me. I mean, there's be a nice nostalgia thing to it, but I don't know. Now, there's been stories that we could be getting Patrick Stewart actually physically back in a new Star Trek show, a Starfleet Academy show. That would be pretty awesome, but I don't know much more. I don't know if more details come out about that. I'm a little bit on the outside when it comes to that, but that sounds cool to me for sure. Patrick, another jump. Okay, here we go. Patrick Conway writes, better Robert Downey Jr. performance, Civil War or Infinity War? I'm actually going to say Infinity War. I just thought what he did with that, in all of his different scenes, there was... I'm not quite sure how to qualify this, except to say, I felt like Robert Downey Jr. in all of his scenes in Infinity War put more character into his Tony Stark than we've seen him do before. And honestly, I'm finding that he's just getting better and better as Tony Stark as it goes. Because I think you could have made the argument that Civil War was the best Tony Stark he'd ever given us up to that point. And now, it kind of feels like Infinity War is the best I've ever seen him. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'll go Infinity War, but there's certainly an argument to be made there for Civil War as well. All right. Alistair Craik writes, "It's coming home." I don't know what that means, Alistair, but I'm sure it means something significant. I'm just not sure. Let's see. Murray Reich writes, "Which December movie will win the box office?" Oh, you know what? Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins is going to win the box office. I base that on a couple of things. And again, could be way wrong, but here's why I'm going with that. Number one, it's a very different movie from the other big players. So you're going to have Aquaman, Alita Battle Angel, Bumblebee, even to some degree, Mortal Engines and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. They're all going after some very similar demographics. And they're all fighting it out over the same audience. And then you've got Mary Poppins. That is a totally beloved property with one of the best movie stars today in Emily Blunt. In a family film, you're going to have a hard time convincing me that it's not going to be Mary Poppins. Now, Aquaman on its own, not competing on the same weekend with Bumblebee and Alita Battle Angel, there's an argument to be made that maybe Aquaman then. Bumblebee on its own, without having to go head-to-head with Aquaman, Alita Battle Angel, Mortal Engines, and Spider-Man and the Spider-Man, maybe Bumblebee beats out. But in a month where all of those films are coming out within 7 days of each other, and Mary Poppins comes out 1 week later, I'm thinking it's going to be Mary Poppins. I think Mary Poppins will win the box office for December. Let's see. Next one. Dominic. Oh, wow. Going to have a hard time with this one. Chilchowski writes, and the Filthy Award for Best Original Song goes to Ashes. Oh, yeah. Well, if I had... By the way, I think that thing's going to get nominated. Whether it'll win or not, we'll have to wait and see what other songs come out. But if there was an Academy... If I put in a category for Best Song for the first half of the year, Ashes. Completely Ashes. Hands down. No questions asked. It absolutely would have been Ashes. No doubt. Thanks for bringing that up, Dominic. All right. Royce Freeman writes, if Spider-Man goes back to Sony, Spider-Verse, can Holland remain and just not mention Avengers? Yeah, absolutely. Remember, Tom Holland's contract is actually with Sony. So yes, he could go back. I don't know that they would do that. They would probably recast. But you could theoretically have him come back and just never mention any of the MCU stuff. You could totally do that. I mean, they're doing that with Terminator right now. Let's just not mention any of the other Terminator stuff. Just Terminator 1 and 2. They're doing it. Highlander did it. There's another, Halloween is doing it. You could totally have, I'm not saying they would do this. I'm not even saying it's the right thing to do. I'm just saying you could bring Tom Holland back over into the Sonyverse with Spider-Man and have him play Spider-Man there and just never mention any of the MCU stuff. You could totally do that. Whether they would or wouldn't, whether it's the smart thing to do or not, that's all up for debate. But it's something you could do because we're seeing it being worked out in precedent with some other films as well. Maurice Cook writes, hey, John, besides Captain Marvel, who else coming to the MCU to the big screens? Who else coming to MCU to the big screens? And is there any other character who should be on the screens? Honestly, Maurice, I don't like those questions about what comic book character that we haven't seen in a movie yet do you want to see in a movie? I get that asked like 5 times a week, and I usually just skip them. I don't that. The first part of your question, I'm not sure what you're asking. Besides Captain Marvel, who else coming to MCU to the big screens? Like you're asking me who else is on the way? No, I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm really not sure at this point. So let's just keep our eyes open and see what comes out. Let's see here. Zaya? Interesting name. Hey, John, such a big fan. Thank you so much. I'm glad you nominated A Quiet Place and Infinity War for Best Director. Who would be your pick for the win? Honestly, right now, It's very close. I kid you not. Lynn Ramsey is very close to getting my vote for what she did with You Were Never Really Here, because one of the big responsibilities of a director is getting the best performance out of your actor possible. And what she got out of Joaquin Phoenix is stunning. And it's just a really good movie. But by that logic, I also nominated John Krasinski for Best Actor, Emily Blunt for Best Actress, why am I forgetting her name? Millicent. Hold a second. What's her name again? Millicent Simmons. Millicent Simmons for Best Supporting Actress. Noah for Best Supporting Actor. All four of them. That's John Krasinski. That's the director. So I'll probably be leaning towards... I'm not casting my vote until later tonight. And remember, my vote counts for 15% of the overall vote. Fan vote counts for 85%. My vote counts for 15%. So I got to be very careful how I vote. But right now, I think I'm leaning towards John Krasinski. Just what he did with that was stupid. Just stupid good. Okay, let's move on here. Royce Freeman writes, if Leia not recast in episode 9, do you feel they should say she died off screen or just went into exile? I don't know. There is no right answer there. They should recast her. That's the answer. The correct answer is the only respectable thing to do to the legacy of Carrie Fisher is to recast the character and bring this character's story home the way they meant to. And not toss the character away just because Carrie's not here to carry it across the finish line. The only respectable, honorable thing to do, and the only way to honor Carrie Fisher's legacy, is to recast the role and bring that character's story arc home. A character that Carrie Fisher spent so many years embodying and pushing forward their story, that Carrie Fisher deserves to have Leia's story finished. You will never convince me in any argument that Carrie Fisher does not deserve to have us finish her character story for her. I believe we owe her that. And it is the only right thing to do here, in my opinion. There are many who disagree. I respect that. In my opinion, the only right thing to do here is recast it and finish Leia's story. You don't have Princess Leia, one of the big three of the Star Wars universe, and then write her out in between movies. That's not how you handle one of the greatest characters in film history. That is not how you handle that character. That's bullshit. Pure bullshit. So there is no right answer. What they will do, if they decide not to recast, which they very well may, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they do. It's all wrong anyway. There are 50 things they could do other than recasting her, and they're all equally wrong, in my opinion. Again, I'm just speaking from my perspective. That's all I'm speaking from. I'm not speaking on your behalf. I'm just saying for me. It's all bad. There's one right answer, 100 wrong answers. And the only right answer is to recast the character and finish Leia's story the way it was intended to be finished. We all already know that there were big plans for the Leia character in episode 9. Give Leia the conclusion she deserves. Anyway. That's just how I feel about it. Royce follows that up. And we'll finish this off with these last two questions, guys. Royce Freeman follows up with, for the Hulk Universal situation, could Marvel do a movie that is Hulk-centric more than Thor 3 and just not call it Hulk movie as a loophole, like how Civil War was like Avengers 2.5? No, because Universal would sue the pants off them and win. Like, if you make a movie that is primarily about the Hulk, there is no loophole about just call it something different. No, Universal will take them to court, sue their pants off, and they'll win. The wording in these legal contracts are all very specific. So if Marvel could have gotten away with that, they would have done it by now. But you can't. You can't get away with that. There is no little loophole like that. Universal never would have allowed a loophole like that. The Universal's legal department would never have allowed such a huge, obvious, dumb loophole like that to exist, right? So, no, they would have their pants sued off them. And I guarantee you, their own legal department probably went over Thor Ragnarok extensively just to make sure that there's no way to say that this isn't Thor's movie. Forget the title of the movie. I'm sure Marvel's legal department had to go over that movie, Ragnarok, and be able to say definitively, yes, any court, any judge, any jury would say that the main character, this is Thor's movie. Regardless of what the title says, this is clearly Thor's movie. Because if there was any question about that, they would have had to re-edit it and make sure you diminished Hulk's role more and more and more. The moment you make a movie that even remotely on its surface looks like you could theoretically call it Hulk's movie, Universal will be able to sue their pants off. Just sue their pants off. Anyway. All right, last question of the day. Comes to us from Ben Rayner, who writes, new Mary Poppins trailer at San Diego Comic-Con. I'm going to guess yes. I mean, we've already had one trailer. I'm going to guess probably. Yeah. I can't back that up. I have no insider information on that per se. But it seems to make sense to me that they would want to launch one at Comic-Con. So yeah, I'm going to guess yes. All right, guys. That will do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, listen, a lot of people have been asking me, are we going to have a John Campea show tomorrow on the 4th of July? The answer to that is yes. 8:30 tomorrow morning Pacific Standard Time. There is going to be a John Campea show. We already got a bunch of really good topics to talk about. Chris McQuarrie saying because of the toxic Star Wars fans, he never wants to direct a Star Wars film now. We've got Miles Teller is going to be playing Goose. We got Matt Damon joining the next John Krasinski movie. Whole bunch of really cool stuff to talk about on the John Campea show tomorrow. Make sure you come back and join us for that. All right, guys, that will do it for me right now. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until our next video, bye-bye.